Now we're taking a deeper look at this, and joining us on the news at 10 for the discussion on the Africa-China relationship is the Vice President of the Nigeria Association of Chambers of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture, NASIMA, and also the Executive Director of Business Development Africa of Etilsit, Mr. Tony Ejikioye. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Now, is Africa looking to have the best of both worlds in terms of investments from China as well as the Western world? Is that even possible?
It's a win-win situation, I believe, because all the negative stories, and I know the reason you asked the question is all the negative or the misperceptions about loans from China has always been, is going to be exploitative in nature. But I think that is a win-win situation for China and Africa, especially Nigeria.
Now, are you encouraged by some of the results you've seen so far in the China-Africa? Because this meeting taking place today and tomorrow is not the first. Several meetings have held before this, and several investments have come from China to the African continent. Are you impressed? Are you happy with what you've seen so far about the way that economic managers in Africa are handling these huge investments at this point?
Well, that's a very good question. Because the problem is with Africa, not just Nigeria, but the whole of Africa, is negotiation about identification of the proper projects, especially infrastructures. Just like President Xi Jinping said, that they do not have time for vanity projects anymore. So what that means is that maybe they've had vanity projects in the past, but in the future they are not going to have it. The problem Nigeria has and other African countries have is the fact that usually negotiation for these loans or aid are usually done by the government. What people like us believe is that consultants or professionals should be brought in to negotiate on behalf of government when these loans are going to be granted. Because in the international scene, you get what you negotiate, not what you deserve. Nobody is going to give you a free lunch. It is what your officials negotiate. So my take from time has always been that government should not rely on the civil servants or politicians to negotiate on behalf of government, but consultants, experts and professionals should be the people that will do the negotiation on behalf of government.
Now, let me then ask you, let me ask you now that, because it seems as if Africa, taking Nigeria as an example, is in the middle. We are being, as it were, wooed by both China on one hand and then the Western world. If you take Nigeria in the last couple of months, the German Chancellor has been here, the British Prime Minister has been here, and then, of course, the Chinese President has also been here. Now, I'm just wondering, do you think we're biting off more than we can chew in terms of how much it is we can absorb of all this funding and where we can put them?
Africa and Nigeria is the beautiful bride every country wants to woo as at the moment because of our abundant natural resources. We have to first and foremost identify why are these countries coming to Nigeria, why are these countries coming to Africa. So when we actually find out the underlying reasons why they are coming, so we'll now know whether it's something we can handle. But for the moment, I believe that Nigeria and the rest of Africa can handle the situation. To me, we still don't have enough infrastructure. A lot of people are talking about how much influence China has in Africa and in Nigeria as at the moment, but I don't still think that it is enough because for a country like Nigeria now, the foreign direct investment, the total foreign direct investment that comes from China is still less than 5% of the total Nigeria gets. And the total loan package from China to Nigeria, when you compare it with the total loan package from the rest of the world, is still less than 13%. So we still have more to engage with China and the rest of the world. So the cake is still big enough for everybody.
Now, but there are those who worry that we seem to be piling on debts because a large portion of this money coming in, particularly into Nigeria, is not free money. it's debt, which is repayable. And in addition to all existing debt
can I come in? Can I come in and
Please.
tell you that as at 2016, from the figures I have up to 2016, I cannot confirm the other figures from 2016. The total loan compared to GDP Nigeria has is about 48%, which is very, very acceptable internationally. Some countries have as much as, some African countries have as much as 80 to 90%. So as at 2016, Nigerian loan ratio to GDP is just 48%. So we can still go higher than that. There's nothing wrong with taking a loan, but the most important thing is making sure it does not go into consumption, but on infrastructure and investments that are going to yield economic opportunities for Nigeria.
At that point, I want to say thank you very much for joining us on the News at 10, Mr. Tony Ejikeoye, the Vice President of the Nigerian
Thank you very
Chamber
much.
of Commerce, Industry, Mines and Agriculture.